Hello again, everyone, and welcome back for another edition of the organizational Top 5 Prospect Rankings. We're here today with the starting pitchers. Really simple. The two guys you know are probably the two best starting pitchers in the organization. Both will probably have a chance to start for the Cardinals in a regular rotation spot in the 2018 season. But first off, we have Alex Reyes. We all know how dynamic he can be. His fastball is plus, his changeup is plus, his curveball is plus, and that's on the low end. All of those pitches have a chance to be the best at their class, which is incredible. He's a once-in-a-lifetime talent for a fan base. The only problem is now he's coming off a Tommy John surgery, and you just don't know exactly what he's going to bring. We all have hopes. Tommy John surgery's come a long way, but we still all need to hold our breath and hope for the best. I'm a jinx person, as you can tell by the terrible genetic strain that's going on in this general area. Just jinxed, and genetics are bad. Hopefully Mr. Reyes does not have to deal with those same problems, those same jinxes. The other gentleman you know is Jack Flaherty. You might have soured on Jack a little bit with his showing at the major leagues in 2017, but do not. He has it all. His slider's underrated. He throws 5 pitches, and he does them all pretty well. He commands them all. Now, they don't all have plus movement, but he has 3 pitches that have the chance to profile as plus, and there's a good chance that all 3 of those pitches are already above average, so you can't take that away from him. Don't spoil on him. He's only 22. What he did in 1 year to go from a guy who fell off of a lot of top 10 prospects lists to being a guy who's in the top 3 at the very least in the Cardinals organization, when he realized that he wasn't taking it seriously enough, is what's really impressive. He's the guy who is going to blow the world apart in 2018 for the Cardinals. As we get down to our top 5, number 1 is Sammy Alcantara. I thought about putting him in the guys you know, but I mean, for real, he got called up in September, hardly got any big innings. He pitched out of the pen. It wasn't a good indication of the pitcher he was, so you really don't know him. You probably know that he's got a really great changeup. That Cup of Joe, he has an amazing article here on Birds on the Black that you're going to want to check out, and it really shows you how beautiful his pitch sequencing is, how well his sinker and his fastball and his changeup all work together, and that's something worth getting excited about. There's a really good chance he doesn't know where he's throwing the baseball. He rears back and hammers, and I love that personally, but it's just probably not sustainable for a major leaguer. What really encourages me is how he ended the Arizona Fall League. He really showed off. I can't say that enough. He got banged around a little bit, and it was kind of a roller coaster up and down kind of thing. But his last start was magnificent. It was maybe his best performance of all of 2017. And to see him end the season that way, that's a really awesome thing. That's a really cool thing. Number 2 on our list is Jordan Hicks. Jordan Hicks is the prospect du jour for the Cardinals. And he should be. He throws a fastball in the upper 90s. He can top out above 100. He hit 102.3, I believe, in an Arizona Fall League in the one start that he made. He also has a curveball that might be the best in the organization. I think most people would say it's the best, but I've been watching a lot of video of Austin Gomber's curveball, and that might be the most underrated pitch in the entire organization. We'll get to him in a second. But the thing about Hicks is he only has 31 starts underneath his belt, 34 appearances. He still has a lot of refining, a lot of learning to do, but his stuff is electric. The one thing that you can tell when you watch him is that he has trouble repeating his delivery. It's very, very evident, and that's to be expected from a guy who has such little experience. He's only 21. He only has 31 starts. He pitched great out of the bullpen for Palm Beach after a promotion, and after struggling in the Arizona Fall League, he really put it together to end strong with 4 scoreless appearances that went over 7 innings, and he's got all the tools. Rather, he has all the tools. It's just a matter of putting it all together, and he has plenty of time to do that. 3 on our list is Dakota Hudson. Dakota's really interesting. He started the year at Springfield. He has a great slider that's kind of like a cutter, and no one really knows what to call it. His fastball lives in the 94, 96 range, but he does a great job of mixing speeds. In any given start at Springfield, and when he finished the season in Memphis, you would see 90, 92, 96, 91, 93, 94, 94. He was constantly changing the speed of his fastball, and that's great. He has a decent changeup. He has a good repertoire. He didn't strike out a lot of guys at AAA and AA in the 2017 season, his first full season in the majors, or in the minor leagues rather, as a member of the organization after being drafted in 2016. But I believe that in 2018 he's going to incorporate those strikeout numbers, and we're all going to be gushing over him. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the mid-season rankings he's in the top 100 prospect lists all over the place. He has that kind of talent. It's just a matter of if he can get the walks down and if he can get those strikeouts up. He struggles early in games too. He struggles to really find his pace early, and that's really nothing. Number 4 on our list. Oh boy, number 4 on our list. Number 4 on our list is a gentleman named Ryan Helsley, who up until this offseason, not even this season, but up until this offseason, was the most underrated prospect in maybe all of the minors, but definitely in the Cardinals organization. I guess the big thing with Helsley is that he just doesn't let up home runs. And he strikes out guys, a guy an inning. Over 240 innings in the minors, a guy an inning. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. And a lot of people were concerned that he didn't have the mix to be able to stick as a starter. He does. He can get up in the high 90s. He's got a curveball that's underrated. It just kind of dies. It just falls right off the table when he's commanding it. Of course, there's a command issue there. And then a changeup that's really good and a cutter that's developing. The changeup's developing too. His changeup, in my opinion, is just a kick below where the cutter is. Both of those pitches need to develop to have major league starter sustainable success. The one thing about Ryan that I find interesting is that he gets ahead of hitters. For a guy who throws a lot of pitches in a game, doesn't really walk a lot of guys, but for a guy who throws a lot of pitches in a game, he'll get ahead of a hitter. He just has trouble finishing hitters off. A lot of counts start 1-2 and then end 3-2, or 0-2 that end 3-2. That's something he has to polish. He knows it too. I've heard him talk about it, which is really interesting. He's a smart kid. He's self-aware. He's also from Cherokee Nation, which I think is pretty awesome, and I'm a big fan of his. 5 on our list is the before-mentioned Austin Gomber. Gomber's the only lefty on the list. You got to get behind that. Gomber was stifled at Springfield this year, and when I say stifled, I don't mean by the talent or the hitters. I mean by the organization. He got hammered in his first start. He had a pretty vicious hamstring injury that kept him out for a good portion of time. But when he came back, he was lights out. Just one start after the other, after the other, after the other. And then the Springfield season ended, and so did his. He was shut down from a promotion to Memphis, which he deserved. He needs to be put on the 40-man. The Cardinals could have put him on the 40-man and called him up to help the major league team, and they didn't do that either. It's really peculiar how they handled it. I personally think that they handled it wrong, unless there's more information that they have, which they have more information than I do. But there's something really interesting there, and he deserved to be at Memphis. We deserved to see what he was capable of at that level. Our next man up is Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen is another third-round pick, this time from the 2016 draft. I'm going to try to say it again. And Gallen's an extreme command pitcher. He doesn't walk a lot of guys. As a matter of fact, in his first taste after being drafted, he pitched 12-something innings, and he didn't walk a guy during that. Actually, he pitched 9.2 innings. Sorry about that. Didn't walk a guy and struck out 12. Sometimes the numbers get jumbled in my head. I like Gallen. Gallen made it to AAA this year. It's kind of the same thing with him as it is with Helsley. His stuff isn't as good as Helsley. He has more command than Helsley has, but his stuff isn't as raw good as Helsley is. But Gallen has a little bit of a confidence issue with his stuff, especially as he progressed to AA and AAA. He started nibbling on pitchers' counts, and there's nothing I hate more out of a pitcher than when they nibble on pitchers' counts. So those are our top 5 pitching prospects in the organization. Stay tuned tomorrow. We'll have the catchers for you. Another one of my favorite prospects is number 1 on that list. And as always, for everyone here at Birds on the Black, happy hunting.